I love the Imperial Navy, but somebody needs to say something about its officer ranking system. Now in canon, the official officer ranking system for the Imperial Navy goes Ensign, Junior Lieutenant, Second Lieutenant, Senior Lieutenant, Lieutenant Commander, Commander, Captain, Commodore, Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, Admiral, Fleet Admiral, High Admiral, and finally Grand Admiral. And there's other stuff like Grand Moff is like kind of somewhere in there, even though it's not really a Navy rank. And there's some other stuff. That's the general broad scope of an average person. Now, commonly people say lieutenant in a way to encompass all of the different lieutenant ranks, because there's about 4. And then people just say admiral to encompass anything from rear admiral or vice admiral to high admiral, pretty much. This system has been used in Rogue One, Andor, the Star Wars comics, and most of the canon books, and also like almost every show. But even though this system is commonly accepted, there are some inconsistencies. First off, the ranks captain and the ranks of commander are often switched around in both books and also in many fans' heads. But slight mix-up in ranks like these don't really bother me. I mean, in Legends, Commander was often higher than Captain, so I can understand some confusion. But my main problem with the Imperial Navy ranks is their plaques that denote all of the different ranks. The first bit of confusion comes with the ABY and BBY systems. Now, I'm okay with these systems, but it leads to even more inaccuracies and just overall makes the system harder to understand. And then the second confusing bit is how in different media rank plaques mean different things. For example, take a look at this BBY plaque. According to the official chart made for Rogue One, this is listed as a Commodore, but we see Vice Admiral Rampart wearing the same plaque. Now, since Vice Admiral Rampart is a Vice Admiral and not a Commodore, there is something really weird going on with these ranks. And this idea is all over the place, rank plaques just meaning crazy different things. If we say that an ABY rank plaque with 3 red and 3 blue is a captain, which is its canonical meaning, then a Commodore would be 4 red, 4 blue. But then what would the ranks be for lieutenant, lieutenant commander, and the other ranks below? Well, if we say that an ensign is 1 red and 1 blue, which is what most people agree on, then a lieutenant would be 2 blue and 2 red, which is also widely accepted. But then we still have lieutenant commander and commander. And there's just not enough options to do those 2 ranks then, if 3 is the next step up right after 2. But there's 2 more ranks. I don't know. But therefore a lot of people ended up saying like, oh, code cylinders. It's about the number of code cylinders in addition to your actual plaque. So therefore a plaque of 2 red and 2 blue with 1 code cylinder would be a lieutenant, but if it had 2 cylinders, then it would be a lieutenant commander. And then therefore a plaque of 3 red and 3 blue with 1 cylinder would be a Navy commander, and if they had 2 code cylinders, it'd be a captain. Now in theory, I'm okay with this as well, but the problem is that code cylinders just do not denote rank. They instead work as key cards for every base or ship that you have access to. They're basically your credentials. For example, a captain might have 2 at most, but a messenger could have 6 because they have to travel around all the different ships in a fleet. So you might be able to understand why this idea only partially works. Not to mention from a military system, it doesn't make sense to have multiple ranks sharing the same plaque when they're like completely different. And just from like a logistics standpoint, I mean almost every military in the world at least has some difference between them. And I don't think anybody's gonna be like, yo, what rank are you? Oh, you have another code cylinder. Alright, that makes sense. It just doesn't really work. And this problem's even more confusing in Rebels, where rank plaques are basically just randomly thrown around with no sense. Take this image for instance. You can see a captain with 3 red and 3 blue tiles. But if you shift your attention to the 2 officers in the chairs, you will see someone with a rank plaque that designates them as higher than a captain. Now that should mean that that officer's in charge, but no, because in Star Wars Rebels they're actually under the captain, but not really, because that rank plaque makes them higher according to Star Wars Rebels, but they're still being commanded by a captain, even though they're technically a commodore. I don't know. It's confusing. But there's another issue in Star Wars Rebels that most people see as pretty minor or don't even notice, but it's actually really confusing. So if you look at Arinda Price, you can see that she has the same rank plaque as Grand Moff Tarkin. And this is really a problem. As I'm sure anyone who's read the new Thrawn trilogy or watched Star Wars Rebels knows, Arinda Price is the Imperial Governor of Lothal. Now, a governor in the Empire is in charge of a planet, then a Moff is in charge of a sector, which is of just a bunch of planets, and a Grand Moff is in charge of an oversector. So, technically it goes Arinda, Moff a Moff whose name I cannot pronounce, and then Grand Moff Tarkin. So the idea that Arinda has the same plaque as somebody multiple rungs above her is absurd. And this is not like we don't have a plaque for an Imperial Governor, because we do. There's a canonical existing plaque for one that Rebels could have used, but instead, like, laziness took over or something. And honestly, I don't think these mistakes in Rebels are, like, unintentional. I think they're just, like, not wanting to spend a little bit more time making a new model for a different rank plaque or different officer type. And I mean, these animators are really good. Rebels is an amazing show, but I just think a little bit more effort should have been put in. Now this whole video might seem like I'm hating on Star Wars, but I love Star Wars, and Rebels too, for that matter. I'm really making this video out of that love. Almost a year ago, I began working on trying to make the definitive chart on every Imperial rank, because I saw a lot of differences in novels, shows, movies, and fan charts / YouTube videos. But I haven't actually made that much progress on it, because nobody seems to know how this system works. And it's not helped by the higher-ups of Disney, because Rogue One, Andor, and Timothy Zahn books all use, like, this same rank system flawlessly, without any mistakes. But it just seems like other media is unable to use these same ranks. Even with Thrawn, in the new Ahsoka show, he has a different rank plaque than he does in Rebels. Like, pick one and stay with it. I don't know. The whole point I made this video is to educate people about this problem, and in some ways just to vent my frustration, about this system. At this point, I almost want, in the middle of Andor Season 2, for a character to stare directly into my soul and tell me exactly how the Imperial rank system works in canon, and finally put me out of my misery, because there's just something about it I cannot understand. The crazy thing about this is that this is really only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to these confusing Imperial ranks. If you want me to cover some more of this topic, please give this video a like. If it gets to 100 views and 10 likes, I'll make a part 2. I hope you enjoyed this video, and with that, peace out.